distract them, and then we come online. Well, guess what? Mr. wipes all 3 players out, essentially, with the camel riders. And then Vortex and Lucifron were like, well, we weren't really needed in this game, but we're gonna take that.
I'll be honest, I didn't actually see the game. I want to go back and watch it because you are hyping it up right now. I've seen the camel riders very rarely work, very rarely be successful. So I'm looking forward. Maybe this game, if we're lucky, we might be blessed with some camel rider action. It excites me greatly, the idea of a camel rider taking over the game. Let's have a look at our positions as well. So we've got China in the pocket for our team in the north. Team on the south, though, they've got Beastyqt in the pocket. Does that give a bit of an indication as to what the plans are for these strategies?
I don't think so, simply because from what I've gauged seeing these 3v3s in this tournament, teams are still very flexible with that pocket and flank positioning, and sometimes teams will go for the identical unit composition despite having a different layout. That being said, the fact that Wham is in the pocket with the Abyssids makes me feel like that he definitely doesn't want to have any attention turned on him in the first 10, maybe even 15 minutes of the game. Doesn't want his fishing eco challenged, doesn't want his land eco challenged. So if anyone wants to go for camel riders from the Abyssid lineup, that is probably gonna be him. Beastyqt could be thinking about the same thing, but it's gonna be a little bit more challenging because his fishing eco could be under attack by Kasva, especially because Kasva is playing the Roost, so that's gonna be a lot of water pressure coming on that side.
All right, well, we enter the 3rd minute of the game. Looks like everybody's taken water so far, so nothing really out of the ordinary. Sometimes you do see people look to skip water. I know China sometimes can do it because they want to try and get that second town center up a little bit faster. By the same token, obviously, you're going to be missing out on a beautiful little snipe there for MarineLorD. Doing a great job taking that away from Kasva.
Yeah, MarineLorD is up to 345. I wonder what Kasva has on the bounty department, because that's going to be a big thing to look at, the 2 Roost players having different bounties. 345 is the count for MarineLorD, and let's see what Kasva has going for him. 230, not so great.
Not even at that tier 2 yet. So, yeah, you can see that difference coming in pretty strong. And considering that both players are on 2 scouts for the opening, that is a vast difference in the outcomes here. So maybe Kasva will have to look to some boars potentially in the mid game, try and even that up a little bit.
It's not going to be a big difference maker because the 2 Roost players are not directly lined up against each other. So at the end of the day, it's not like both of them will go load the attack ships, but one has a little less gold to work with. They're on the opposing side. So the significance of that discrepancy in the bounty shouldn't be that astronomical.
Yeah. It always feels bad when you're playing these mirror matches and it is indeed a mirror, because it's like, oh gosh, then it really comes down to skill. And I earlier made the remark that mirror matches come down to skill, and what I mean by that is that, well, it's twofold. Number one, you can't blame your enemy's civ when it's a mirror match, so that there's always that to consider. But number two is that there's no civ bonuses that really play into the matchup. So you don't have strengths, you don't have weaknesses, because your enemy's got all the same things that you do. So it really comes down to skill and knowing how to exploit that matchup, and much less dependent on things like, timings and unit combos and all that sort of thing.
Camel Riders incoming, Aussie. Look at that. Culture Wink coming from both players on the Abyssids, both Wham and Beastyqt. When Beastyqt and his team played the semifinals against Los Pollos Hermanos, Beastyqt went with the standard economy wing, if I'm not mistaken. He went Camel Archer way. And I remember we were watching Mista's build, and Mista was like, Culture Wing into Military Wing, what could the plan be? Ended up going for Camel Riders. There's gonna be a lot of those coming out this game.
I love watching Mista. I know he's not playing right now, but I just love watching him. He's just such a fun player to watch. Always pulling out these silly ideas, and sometimes they're not actually that silly. But the age up's now starting to come through. DeMusliM reaching into the Feudal age. We do see plenty of boats coming out here at the moment, looking to transform.
This is why I like the positioning of Wham a little better. You see, there is some harassment on the gold mine, but it is to minimal effect. The big difference between the Abyssid players will be that Beast is gonna have to fight on water or forfeit fishing, as compared to Wham, who's gonna have an untouched fishing eco. So if both of them are going Camel Riders, but Beast's food eco is pressured, that could mean that he falls behind compared to Wham when it comes to numbers.
Yeah, Yeah, this could be dangerous right now. It's not looking good. The first of the archer ships are coming out. Aggression starting early. 6 minutes 30 into this game. There's plenty of docks here though, so hitting the Abbasid player is going to be able to hold down the fort, or hold the fort rather, for the moment.
Lovely idea by Beasty. He's using the Abbasid bonus of the discounted docks to use them as shelters. He's building a lot of docks because he wants to make sure he can garrison all his fishing ships. For sure, they will be idle, but you won't lose them overall, and this buys time for DeMusliM to arrive with a war chunk and push away those low-gear attack ships. Yeah,
very smart move here. So Kasva, I wouldn't necessarily say wasting because he has bought time. And look at that already, the military wing coming through from Wham. Super quick age up here. 7 minutes. That is a quick age up. So your suspicion is... Let's have a look right on board with Beasty and check the resources that he's got in the bank right now. We're sitting on board with somebody in the Beavers and the Turkeys. Military wing for Beasty still quite a bit away. There we go. We did get a bit of a flash at him. Oh, jeez. Is that Beasty? If that's Beasty...
That's definitely not Beasty. He hasn't even started going up according to the UI. And this is the consequence of having to go for a bugla or even just idling the fishing eco. You see Beasty... Oh, this is worse than I thought. Having to go for a bugla means that he's going to be low on gold even. And this is why the positioning is such a delicate factor over here. Vam was virtually untouched. He's going to beat Beasty to Castle Age by a solid minute. And don't forget, and this is very important, Abbasids can't accelerate their age up process. It's not like you just send twice the villagers. That is a solid minute discrepancy that we're going to have. And that could easily translate into massive numbers advantage for Vam. Now, do keep in mind, Demu is also going Castle, and if they expect the Camel Riders, we could see heavy commitment to Spears to bridge that gap through. But still, this is an alarming detail right now for the Chimps.
All right, well, let's take a look at Wham. All attention is going to be on him, as we do see it looks like it might be Palace Guards that are going to be coming out in the north for DeMusliM, but on the south side, Wham with a triple stable already up. So, question for you, Lidakor. Palace Guards up against Camel Riders. Who wins that one?
I mean, number one, the audience. I mean, they would love to see Camel Riders versus Palace Guards, but probably Camel Riders simply because they can just ignore the Palace Guards. They can just go, wreak havoc inside the eco, and then by the time the Palace Guards reach the other base, you could have a teammate supporting with crossbows, or you could have a couple of Lancers mixed in to deal with them. There's gonna be a flood of Palace Guards coming up. Question is, how is Poppy doing with the Castle Age timing? If Poppy can reach Castle in time, he could just match this with his own Palace Guards, and then there is no problem.
Interestingly, we do see DeMusliM actually picking up a Song Dynasty at the moment. We can see that he was, Puppy Paw also almost on the way up. So it goes for the Song Dynasty, and I kind of feel a little bit curious about this, especially considering the nerf to Song Dynasty. So he's spent 600 resources here for faster villager training, but it's really not that much. A second town center, though, that would have gone a long way. It's obviously a bit harder to macro for. You got to move villagers out over the wood and stone and whatnot, but I feel like the value for Song Dynasty is starting to fall off a lot now with this nerf.
Yeah, could have imagined the fast castle straight away over here by either of the Chinese players, but they decided to go with Song. And you can see right now across the map that the plan for Chimps to bridge that gap through between Beasty's Castle Age timing and Wham's is to wall it off, but this was intercepted very nicely by Wham, so walls will be incomplete, there is going to be an opportunity to raid, whereas on the other side, DeMusliM is going to focus most of his attention to Kasva, so looks like 3 Beavers and Turkey may fall behind on water eventually, if those Palace Guards can do damage.
You know, the Camel Riders are so alien to me, I don't even know their stats, and when Vodka clicked on that Camel Rider, it had 270 health. That's a lot of health for a base unit in the Castle Age. That is massive.
And it's 14 base damage. That's not bad for a cavalry unit. But the real remarkable thing about this is, think about it this way. If you didn't have your own Camel Riders, what's the unit that can match their pace and also can take a fight against them? Like nothing. If you were to raid with Lancers, your opponents match that with their Lancers. But you can't really pursue Camel Riders with Lancers. This is probably the right thing to do, though. Just charging in, trying to do damage to Kasva, but don't forget, 3 Beavers and Turkey love to play this playstyle. One player takes the beating, the other 2 carries. They do this so often.
Sorry, Kasva, you're gonna have to sit out on the on the sidelines for today as the palace guards begin coming through, and we see the camel riders beginning to make their way down. And I honestly feel like the camel riders might actually have the difference here, just mainly because of that extra armor that they get. Remember, the camel riders get that extra 3 armor from the military wing. So I'm not sure whether Beasty would have it already, but maybe we can click on his House of Wisdom to see the upgrade. But palace guard numbers down here looking pretty solid. Is it going to be enough to take on these camel riders? Remains to be seen. That is going to be the question.
Yeah, looks like right now the goal is just to make sure that Kasva's tower and town center can pick off as many of those palace guards. Just kind of slow this down, because you clean this up, there is no reinforcements coming from DeMusliM, unlike on the other side where you see this is a free real estate. And I love that they are targeting Beasty. Kasva being knocked out here, no big deal. They will just lose the water. But if you lose Beasty, you will never have camel riders on the other side.
It's pretty smart. Honestly, this is amazing to watch right now. The camel riders just taking over this game. Something that has not been seen, well, prior to last week. Camel riders just really doing well, but the H-up going to be held out for the moment. Relics also getting picked up behind this, so I'm suspecting that's probably MarineLorD picking up relics. He is known for his relic collection ability.
Look at that though, northern side. Looks like MarineLorD is going to lose his water as well. Down south, Beast is committing a lot to water. He's going heavy on the bug loss. He's got 11 of them on the field. Problem is that he's got nothing at home to defend with. And you see, with Kasva finally having all the palace guards cleaned up inside his base, now 3 Beavers and Turkey are safe on land. For sure, they could be losing water, but you look at the map and you start to see, ooh, look at that. Beautiful demos.
Yeah. That was a nice demo. Get 2 for 1 right there. Push continues happening for BC. He's looking pretty solid on this side. At the same time, to the north, Puppy Paw, his push was looking really good up against MarineLorD. MarineLorD's focus heavy on religion at the moment, looking to try and secure up those relics. Wallalogne, very cheeky, very sneaky. Not going to be coming off today, though.
He just delivers the relic right away.
Yeah. Very, very nice of him to deliver that relic. Bit of an interesting play by him to go for something like that. I wonder what it was. Maybe he had camels chasing him already or something like that. But look at this push coming through. So we've got a bit of a double-sided play here, but the camel riders have made their way all the way to the north. Keep in mind, as you mentioned, they've got that extra attacks or the extra movement speed. So they're able to really escape the majority of units. And demos. Another thing to note there.
Aussie, look at the demos. They're hiding behind the fishing ships. This could be ugly.
Oh, Lord.
He's going to
look
flank
at the way
the
he's
north.
beginning to position them as well, yeah. He's going up, go DeMusliM. Oh, look at the way he's playing it.
Doesn't see it.
This is going to be... this is going to be so hard. Oh, this is going to be so difficult. All right, the demo's going in. He rolls past him like Banelings right now. DeMusliM channeling his inner SC2 prowess. And look at the micro coming out from Puppy Paw. Just like a Terran player, just splitting up all of those heavy junks. A single demo makes it through to the back line, and he gets a hit on 3. So some big damage coming out, but it looks like the force is still pretty strong over there for Puppy Paw. Will remain in play for the moment.
Yeah, that was still an amazing fight here for DeMusliM. Damaged so many ships. Beasty is winning the water down south, but we shouldn't forget that inside Beasty's base, there is a terrifying amount of damage done. Such a chaotic and messy game. You feel like both of these teams will eventually lose most of their fishing eco. Question is who is doing better on land at this point.
Yeah, interestingly, we see Beasty actually going for barracks here. Oh, that was a demo. That was a demo right there. Was that 4 for 1?
Yeah,
I think that was a 4 for 1 right there. That's that rivals some of Salami's demos. They are pretty severe. But I guess my question is, Beasty's going for a bit more of an infantry approach here. So obviously Spearmen for the Abbasid, really good units because they've got that phalanx ability. They've also got bonuses to their health nice and early. Do we potentially see that as the counter to the Abbasid? Does the Abbasid counter the Abbasid?
I feel like here it's not going to be about what unit you have. It's more about the fact that the entire concept of the camel raiding was that you do a lot of damage on the eco with units that are hard to catch and hard to kill at the beginning. But they're not really going to be the perfect unit to take straight up battles with. And now, the chimps are out here to take those direct battles. If you look at their composition, Spearman, Palace Guards, there is going to be no more opportunity for Vam to raid with those camels, because from this point on, the chimps are on the offensive, and they do so with an army almost twice as big as the opponents.
Yeah, there's a significant difference right now in military population. Obviously, a lot of that is going to be spears. Still, spears very effective against the composition that's being held at the moment by 3 beavers and a turkey. Numbers are still really yet to build on land. Kasva with 6 crossbows at the moment. Handful of infantry units for Puppy Paw as well. A double-digit camel numbers at the moment for Wham. First of the Nest to be is going to be coming out, but DeMusliM just overwhelming. At this point, 42 palace guards, and all of a sudden, it really starts to shift it in favor of the chimps.
Yeah, you asked this question to me at the beginning of the game. Do I like team game mirrors? And I said yes, because it comes down to how you use your civilizations. And the big difference here is that DeMusliM is using the biggest strength of the Chinese, flooding out palace guards, flooding out infantry with a powerful eco to back it up with. Whereas on the other side, Puppy, he's doing a great job on the water, but at the end of the day, that's not the primary playing field, and his Chinese feel less impactful than DeMuslim's one.
Yeah, and we can also see that he's got the Yuan dynasty through as well, so these palace guards, they're able to run around the entire map. Camels are going to be able to chase them, but it's going to be tough for them to do it. Spearmen moving through as well. Beasty bringing more spearmen to the party. There's a lot of spearmen at this party right now.
This
Camel
is...
Riders getting in on the action.
This is not getting ugly. It's getting ugly. Trade Wing coming in for Beasties, going up to Imperial. And now Beavers and Turkey are just confined into the town centers. Playing field has been split and Vamp steps out.
Wow. So a second game going to be going over to the chimps. Very well played so far in this series by the chimps. Just a bit more of a focus on land in the late game. And I mean, we talked about it earlier, didn't we? It comes down to how much you're actually investing in that land, because that's going to be the real difference maker in the end. You can invest heavily on water, but if you lose land, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Wham did a great job with the initial camels, but I loved DeMusliM just going very heavily on the infantry and said, okay, you want to raid us, we'll just take the fight to your base and force you to take direct engagements. And a lot of precious time for Wham was lost by having to clean up those palace guards inside Kasva's base. And at the end of the day, the window just closed on that raiding opportunity for Wham. Maybe this game could have been different if Puppy Paw puts a little less emphasis on water. He really felt like he wanted to wipe out the fishing eco as it was. But that was, in many ways, the difference maker. He focused on water, whereas DeMusliM just flooded infantry. Kasva obviously took a lot of damage. He was trying to slow down Beastie. But I feel that if Puppy Paw just stops at a couple war junks and says, okay, I don't let MarineLorD pass and hit the fishing eco of mine or Wham's, and then I focus on land, that may have been a little bit more beneficial to 3 Beavers and Turkey. Hard to say, though, because obviously this was really well played by both teams. I love DeMusliM's contribution, though. Really, the infantry all throughout the game paid off big time.